Thank you. And we'll start right with the superintendent's report. Mr. Brooks.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for coming tonight. Welcome. I see we've got some beautiful artwork on the wall, and I don't want to preempt it too much, but thank you very much to the Lions Club for coming tonight, and you'll have a little bit more to say about this beautiful artwork and our invited guests. So I won't steal any thunder there. So thank you for coming tonight. Also, I want to let the board know that we're anticipating a very exciting presentation at the next meeting. We have each year there's typically, or can be typically, an August graduate. Normally people graduate in June, but there are some students that finish up their credentials in the summertime and maybe even into the fall, and there might be an August or a January graduate. Well, we have an August graduate. What's even more exciting about that is that they're very excited about us conferring that diploma in sort of an official way. And sometimes we'll do that maybe in the principal's office or at the high school. But this time, there's going to be a little more public presentation to it. So we're going to have a little mini conferring of diploma here we're anticipating at the next board meeting. So right now, the stars are aligned for next board meeting. At the very worst, it would be the first meeting in December. So that's just a little preview to what's to come for our next meeting. And with that, I have nothing else.
Okay. John, Orange Bolsters.
Next meeting is November 2nd, so I'll have an
Okay. For Ulster School Boards, the meeting was on October the 11th. They're really just trying to get more people to come to the meetings. They really only have 5 meetings a year. And they had Patrick Longo from New York State School Boards there to talk about the board's role in overcoming the trauma of poverty and, you know, what the different districts are having to deal with, and with all the new problems that are out there, and you know, how more and more is being thrust onto the schools. So that was really it. And Elizabeth, you want to do your representatives report?
Thank you, Mr. Malazzo. Good evening and welcome to tonight's workshop meeting. I would like to begin my report with district-wide events. The students of the Marlborough Central School District will have this Tuesday, November 6th, off for staff conferences. In addition, the first marking period will end this Friday, November 9th. Last week, the elementary school had their Bus Safety Week, which was an active public education program that addressed students with the importance of school bus safety. This program taught students how to stay safe on their way to and from school. On November 9th, the Marlborough Elementary School will be hosting their annual Veterans Day Assembly for students. Veterans of the community will participate in the assembly and share their stories. Last Friday, on October 26th, the Marlborough Middle School held their annual open house. Parents had the opportunity to tour the building, follow their child's schedule, and meet their child's teachers. The Marlborough Middle School's Power Up Night is Monday, November 5th. Parents and students are encouraged to come and take demo classes that fit student interests for future careers. The Veterans Day breakfast will be hosted at the middle school on November 9th. Students are encouraged to invite family members and members of the community who have served in the military for a complimentary breakfast hosted by the National Junior Honor Society. The Marlborough Middle School Thanksgiving Food Drive begins November 13th and ends November 19th. Students will participate in bringing in these items within their homeroom. College Information Night was last Thursday, October 25th. Local college representatives from schools such as SUNY New Paltz and Mount St. Mary came to the Marlborough High School and answered many questions from parents and students. This week, the students of Marlborough High School participated in Red Ribbon Week. Red Ribbon Week is an alcohol, tobacco, drug, and violence prevention awareness campaign. Students were encouraged to follow a day-by-day theme week where students dressed up to spread awareness. The Marlborough High School's junior class is hosting a fundraiser at Buffalo Wild Wings in Newburgh on November 5th to fundraise to get costs down for this year's prom. Finally, the Marlborough High School Drama Club presents their fall production called Game Show at the Marlborough High School through Thursday, November 8th to Sunday, November 11th. I, in addition to several other students, have worked extremely hard on the show and look forward to performing. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll move on to the Lions Club presentation. Mr. Jennison.
Is this on? Is it working? Okay. Well, good evening. I'm Steve Jennison, and I'm the president of the Marlboro Milton Lions Club. And this summer, Mr. Brooks and I met, wanted to collaborate on what we could do at the middle school. Our Lions Club for the last, I think Mr. LeDukes was the first graduating senior that received, he was one of the first ones that received our Lions Club scholarship, I think a few years ago. And for the last 10 to 12 years, our Lions Club have been doing vision screenings on all kindergartners coming into the Marlboro Elementary School. When we were approached, before I became a Lions, I was on the school board, and to me, it just made total sense that what a great idea if we screen every child to see if they need glasses before we have to go on to possible special education. And so the Marlboro Lions Club has been doing that, and now we've branched out into other schools in Ulster County, in Orange County, in Dutchess County. So that's a good thing. But we spoke this summer, and we haven't been doing anything with the middle school. And the Lions Club International came up, has been doing this International Peace Poster. And so I thought, what a great idea we could collaborate with the middle school, Mrs. Clinton, with the art department. And I hung 15 works of art on display. And we presented a certificate to each one of our students that participated. And this year's theme was Kindness Matters. And I think in today's environment, we could all use a little more kindness in everything that we do. So our committee of judges, Ed Mackey and Jennifer, who's the branch manager at Sawyer Savings, we judged all the works of art, and we came up with a winner. And Nola Stringham. Nola, come on up. So, Nola, we have a certificate for you that we framed and a little gift for participating. And you want to talk about your art? No, you don't. Okay.
We will. We'll talk about it.
Okay, go ahead.
So, come on in. There we go. Good. Mike, come on down. Mrs. Clinton?
Oh, thanks, Mark.
Yeah.
Hey, Steve.
Let me just get away. Yeah, let's move away from the microphone.
Let's go down towards Miss
Yeah,
Clinton.
we're gonna go this way. Come on. We're just gonna move down here.
In front of the art?
Yeah, we'll leave Nola right by her art. There we go. This is the artwork. There we go. There you go. Sure. We're going to take more time for this than the board meeting. Congratulations. Yeah.
There really is something else.
All right, so Mr. Mackey wants to say something. Go ahead, Ed.
Thank you. So when we were judging these pieces of art the other day, it took us a lot longer than I personally expected, because each one of these pieces took us on a journey through our minds. It wasn't saying, well, that's a good photo, that's a good picture, that's a good picture, that's a good picture. It was so interpretive, and to see where the students were going and their thoughts, and then our own interpretations. We probably talked about the art for, I would say, about a half hour before we came to a decision. So I wanted to commend Mr. Eckert for allowing the students to do this, and the brilliancy of their work, and allowing us to go through that journey of their own interpretations. And that's hats off to Ms. Clinton for allowing this all the way around. So thank you all, and thank you, Ms. Clinton.
Thank you. We'll move on to public comment on the agenda items. If anybody has any comments on the agenda items, please come up to the podium and state your name. Okay, we'll move on to consent agenda. Resolved that the Board of Education, upon the recommendation of the Superintendent of Schools, approves the contracts, agreements, and reports as presented. Personnel recommendations, Board of Ed meeting minutes from October 4th, October 18th, LexisNexis contract, and donation of apples to the backpack program. Can I have a motion? John, second. John. Any discussion?
Hey, just a question on the software agreement. What is the software used for? It didn't really say that in the agreement.
Mr. Wither will give you.
Sure. So we use the LexisNexis primarily to help get information on a lot of residency issues. So if there's a question that comes up saying, hey, we have a student here, we need information, do they live in the district, not live in the district, LexisNexis gets us to like source documents to give a background of where people have lived, address histories, things of that nature. And we do share that with the town of Marlborough, so we share the cost of that too.
So it's the sole purpose is for residency issues as you described,
Yeah,
including for the town when they need it.
And we had issues like just this year, we had overpayment of taxes, and we didn't have information on how to get in touch with the taxpayer, so we're able to use that system to get that information also.
Okay, thanks.
Any other discussion? Please cast your vote.
I'm a yes. I don't know. It's not coming through on my phone.
Okay, we'll move on to recommended actions. Termination of solar purchase agreement. Resolved that the Board of Education, upon the recommendation of the Superintendent of Schools, authorizes the superintendent to sign the termination agreement between the Marlborough Central School District and Tesla Energy Operations, formerly known as Solar City Corp., as presented. Can I have a motion? Susan, second. Tony, any discussion?
I'd like to give a little background if I could, yeah. This is actually pretty disappointing for us. Today was looking at the original contract that we put together a year and a half or 2 years ago now. Today was the day that it was supposed to become operational unless there was some granted extension. Solar City, which turned into Tesla, really never delivered on any checkpoint along the way in the last year and a half to 2 years of the contract. So this is really a formality. That doesn't mean we're giving up on the possibility of moving forward with a solar project. So Pat's working on some other avenues, trying to combine it with some performance, some performance contracts, right, some energy performance contracts from some other avenues. So it's not something we're giving up on. It's just not going to work out with Solar City / Tesla. So this is the formality that we have to go to formally terminate the contract that they didn't deliver on. So.
Any other questions? Please cast your vote.
It's important to note, too, by the way, there were no expenditures for the district regarding anything in that contract. So it didn't cost us anything regarding that project.
Architectural Services, resolved that the Board of Education, upon the recommendation of the Superintendent of Schools, awards of RFP MCSD 022019, Architectural Engineering Services, and appointment of District Architects of Record as attached. Can I have a motion? Susan, second. Russell. Any discussion? This is just a follow-up from,
What we talked about previously, where we're gonna like have somebody on retainer
Correct.
to do, okay.
It's not really a retainer. They provide us a time and materials RFP, request for professional services, so it's a time and materials contract. We'll now follow this up with a formalized contract that will delineate the specific costs, but those are also in the RFP. And it'll be pay as used at the rates that are listed there. Like with our attorneys, we have a retainer, so we pay a specific amount for a specific number of hours. That's not what this is. We pay as we use the services. That's a good question. Thank you.
thanks. Anybody else? Okay, please cast your vote.
Motion carried 6-0.
And then we have the first reading. Resolved that the Board of Education, upon the recommendation of the Superintendent of Schools, approve the first reading of Policy 6121, Sexual Harassment in the Workplace as presented. Have a motion? Susan, second. Tony? Any discussion?
Okay, just a reminder of what the first read refers to and what's coming up next.
Sure. This has already been through administrative review, our legal review, and also we have a policy service out of Erie BOCES. Then it goes to our policy committee. So our board policy committee has reviewed this. Once the board policy endorses it, it moves on for board approval. Board approval is 2 stages, first read and then second read. At the second read, we also then adopt policy. So this is the opportunity for board members and public to make comment on any policy changes that either get adjusted in the policy then for second read and adoption, or not, depending upon the board's direction from that. So.
And we got to remember, a lot of it's got to do with every time the state changes everything, we have, that's the nice thing about the service. They're looking at the model policies, and then we just have to adapt them, and then our attorneys go back through them and everybody else to make sure that we're in full compliance with the state regulations.
Correct.
And what's in best practices.
And this really hit every public and private employer, at least in the state, regarding updates that had to have taken place with sexual harassment policies. So we got solid legal guidance on it from our legal team, but also from the policy committee that really converged into making this policy adjustment. The Department of Labor kind of extended themselves a little farther this time and wrote a model policy that this pretty much so falls directly in line with.
Anybody else? Okay, please vote. Move to old business. Mike, you want to give us an update on the TVs? No.
So we're in the process of a shared project here with the town to update our displays. And as you can see, our TVs are now mounted and operating, a little bit more work. What they'll do is we have a new kiosk up here, lectern. The laptop will be embedded in that lectern. And basically what you have is it'll operate from the lectern, and these are 2 large monitors connected to that computer. So we've got a little bit more configuration. I think they're super smart TVs. There's a lot of options on them. A lot of times when you do these monitors in schools, they're called hospitality. They're very limited in what they can do, and they're meant to be wired together. But these smart TVs actually have a lot of functionality. So tomorrow we're going to play around with how best we want to set them up for the best performance. And I do anticipate that this is the projector. It'll be a backup system, but this will be the last meeting that we use with the projector.
So the screen won't be in a way for photos anymore, Mark?
Nobody's happier than Rose Mealy about that.
Okay. And I'm sorry, I didn't give Teresa a chance to report the results of the last vote.
Motion carried 6-0.
Thank you. Any other old business? Any new business? Any other items? Okay, recognition of district residents. Please step to the podium.
I just wonder if the board could elaborate a little bit on the Solar City, what exactly they were projecting to do, and when you don't use them, will you look for another company that will do similar work?
Yeah, I mean, we originally, this whole project was to do basically a small solar farm behind the Middle Hope Elementary School in the wooded area back there, to try and offset our carbon emissions and generate savings for the district. And I know Pat's still looking at any possible way to do that and capitalize on all the land we have and bring back another proposal. I know they ran into some issues with the terrain and the wetlands and all of that, so, but we've got buildings and, always trying to find a way to save the district residents money and still be environmentally friendly.
Do you know about how big or how many arrays they were thinking about?
I don't know the size offhand. Initially, it was projected to, I believe, be about a $77,000 a year savings to the district, but that was considerably decreased when they had to reduce the proposed size due to the topography and the wetlands. So it really got to a point where it was kind of a not a significant amount of savings for the amount of work involved in the project. But we are working with was it Honeywell, I believe, is the company that we've been talking with. They're looking at the possibility of doing some energy performance contracts within the district, and we've told them specifically that we are interested in solar if they could work that into the proposal.
Have they thought about on the roof?
They would look at all options.
Okay.
You know, whether it be roof mounted, ground mounted. We do have some property, but
Right.
you know, the problem is through energy performance contracts, they're required to have a 20-year payback period, and sometimes solar is tight trying to fit within that time period. But they are examining those
Right.
possibilities.
Okay.
When
Thanks.
we first looked at the project, Mark, through the facilities committee, we were looking at all options, roof, grounds, all spaces that we have that would have sun exposure, and obviously with consult through engineering, and really landed on that space out at Middle Hope. I think if I remember correctly, Pat, it was originally like 8 to 10 acres worth of solar arrays that then dwindled down to the point of diminishing return. So
Right.
that was a piece of it. I also, I mean, you see the headlines regarding Solar City and Tesla. There's a lot of
Right.
tumult in that company
Thanks.
right now. So
Thank you. Anybody else? Okay, we have no executive session tonight, so motion to adjourn. Susan, second. Tony, all in favor? Aye. Thank you, everybody.